for July 29, 1997. Biography with Peter Graves.
She was a star at 21, a has-been at 33, and then staged a series of comebacks. She went through husbands, lovers, and money with equal abandon. Welcome again to Roaring 20s Week here on Biography. Tonight, Gloria Swanson, the decade's most unforgettable movie star and the most independent. In the mid-20s, Paramount Studios offered Swanson the staggering sum of $20,000 a week. She turned it down to form her own production company, with a little help from her millionaire lover, Joseph Kennedy. Swanson's film career spanned nearly 60 years. At her peak, she personified Hollywood in its most glamorous era. And when she was still a bit player, Swanson made a promise. She said, "When I'm a star, I will be every inch and every moment a star." It was a promise she kept to the end.
You're Norma Desmond. Used to be in silent pictures, used to be big.
I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
She was one of those bright threads that grace and enliven the dull normalcy of life.
I mean, headlines, if it said Gloria, it's like saying Madonna today. Everybody knew who that meant.
Yes, it's Glorious Gloria, glamorous Gloria Swanson.
She was the original feminist who didn't need to be in any feminist movement. She always said, do whatever you want to do, you can do it.
Because of this long nose, I want to look around corners, and I dream dreams, and most of my dreams have come true.
Yes, you'll read the big black headlines about Norma Desmond and this Hollywood scandal.
People associate Gloria Swanson with Norma Desmond and think that Gloria Swanson is Norma Desmond, but what Gloria Swanson did was create a fictional character.
You know, the people are terrified of me because of that role.
Madame is the greatest star of them all.
Tucked away at the University of Texas at Austin, unknown to the world, are more than 500,000 clues collected and left to posterity by Gloria Swanson. From the beginning, she believed her life was special and worth recording. Millions of boys and girls made love in the summer of 1898, wrote Gloria. But I waited for the right moment between a young man named Joe Swanson and his wife Addie before I willed my way from infinity to the second floor of 341 Grace Street in Chicago. I decided to be a girl. She was born Gloria May Josephine Swanson on March 27, 1899. Joseph Swanson, the U.S. Army supervisor, was often reassigned, forcing him to uproot his family or simply to disappear.
She had a keen mind and curious mind, and she always said her father instilled that in her, to search out the answers for lots of things.
Gloria claimed she kept her mouth shut for photographs because her mother said she had oversized teeth and that her mother dressed her in fancy ribbons to hide big ears. Whatever the reason, Gloria Swanson already made a fashion statement.
She never dressed the way the other girls dressed. She always had something particular. She told me that when she was a child, her mother would make something special for her.
Between the ages of 7 and 15, Gloria lived the life of an Army brat, first in Key West and then in Puerto Rico. A shy child, she disliked school, preferred the company of her parents to her peers, and fantasized about being grown up and married with 12 children. A successful turn as the lead in a school musical cured her shyness and gave her a dream.
I remember she said, remember when I go bye-bye, she said, when people ask you about me, I wanted to be a singer first.
With her sights set on opera stardom, Gloria rarely missed a voice lesson and needed coaxing to visit her Aunt Inga in Chicago. Aunt Inga wanted to take her 15-year-old niece on a tour of Chicago's S&A company where they made motion pictures. Gloria watched as they filmed a pratfall by a young comedian dressed in drag. His name was Wallace Beery. A casting director, struck by Gloria's looks and dress, asked her to return the next day to be an extra in a wedding scene. Weeks later, she was hired full-time at $13.25 a week. recently hired S&A player who was beginning to make a name for himself requested that Swanson be his comic partner. Later saying she felt like a cow trying to dance with a toy poodle, Swanson happily appeared on screen with Charlie Chaplin from behind a desk. Problems at home were not solved as easily. Joe Swanson's constant reassignments and growing dependence on alcohol strained his marriage beyond repair. In 1916, when he was transferred to the Philippines, his wife Addie and daughter Gloria did not follow. They moved to California and were told to look up a man named Sennett. Mac Sennett made a fortune making comedy by the seat of his pants. Plots involving his famed bathing beauties or Keystone Cops developed according to what gags worked best. His back lots for the backyards and streets of greater Los Angeles. In 1916, he added Gloria Swanson to his merry pranksters at $100 a week.
I must say that in the pictures that I made for him, I never was with the bathing girls, nor with the Keystone Cops, nor with any of the sort of midgets or cross-eyed people or fat people or things like that. We did light comedy.
Swanson may have distanced herself from that slapstick Sennett style, but she clearly had a knack for it. While she may not have been an official bathing beauty, she left behind enough evidence to fuel the legend. And Wallace Beery, who Swanson first saw in drag back at S&A Studios in Chicago, was now her frequent Keystone co-star and a relentless pursuer. She summed him up best when describing his hunting style. We drove out to a field at sunset and waited for it to get dark. Wally took out his gun and switched on the headlights. Rabbits on the ground sat perfectly still, stunned by the glare, while he shot them. But the charming side of a man 10 years her senior won over a girl looking for a father figure. She lied about her age and married Wallace Beery on her 17th birthday. On their wedding night, Swanson later wrote that a drunken and crazed Beery forced himself upon her. While making The Danger Girl, Swanson told Beery that she was pregnant. She later wrote that he knowingly tricked her into taking a potion that induced an abortion. Her marriage was over after 8 weeks.
After her experience being married to Wallace Beery, I mean, I'm frankly surprised she ever even spoke to a man again, let alone had another 4 husbands.
Actually, there would be another 5 marriages, but none would end as this one did with such cinematic finality. Only weeks after her miscarriage, Gloria, the damsel in distress, co-starred with Beery, the conniving villain, in Teddy at the Throttle. She performed bravely and remarkably in front of cheering co-workers who knew what she'd been through. Wallace Beery's career would languish another 15 years, while Gloria Swanson's took off after only 1. Working for Cecil B. DeMille, said Gloria, was like playing house in the world's most expensive department store. His pictures had the savor of decadence about them, like the smell of cut gardenias at the end of a party. DeMille's partner, Jesse Lasky, hired Gloria at $200 a week. The great director enhanced her exotic look with real jewels and a not-to-be-believed wardrobe, and he placed her in equally exotic romances.
Gloria idolized DeMille. He was her patron saint. He had created her, made her, given her the image, made her a star, given her the sex appeal.
On a rare visit, Joe Swanson came to see his daughter the day this scene was being shot. Introducing him to Mr. DeMille, Gloria blurted, "Daddy, I want you to meet my father." This seemingly modern woman, the perfect heroine for an America on the brink of the jazz age, still needed a father figure. At work, she had DeMille. Privately, she found security in the company of businessman Herbert Somborn, whom she nicknamed Daddy, and married in 1919 when Wallace Beery finally granted her a divorce. Businessman Somborn quickly encouraged his wife to capitalize on her growing stardom and demand a raise. Jesse Lasky relented at $2,500 a week for 5 years, and Gloria had more news.
So I found myself pregnant, and I went to Mr. Lasky and said, I'm going to have a child. Why he didn't have a stroke, I don't know, because he... You can't have a child. I said, oh, yes, I can. He said, but you'll ruin your career. But I said, Mr. Lasky, I'm a woman first and an actress second.
In an era when studios forbade their leading ladies from having children, Gloria gave birth to Gloria Swanson Somborn in October of 1920. Just a month before, Gloria discovered Herbert Somborn was not the millionaire he pretended to be. Bitter about paying the bills in a marriage she entered for stability more than for love, Swanson and Somborn were separated 7 months after their daughter's birth.
He was a very kind and gentle man, and I would see him on occasions. He was always very good to me, but I knew nothing of their life together.
Shortly after her separation from Somborn, Gloria fell in love with director Mickey Nealon, who, she said, started the fad of having Oriental houseboys for servants, and whose house was the first in Hollywood to have a built-in pipe organ. Gloria Swanson wasn't about to become the biggest star in the world all by herself. You're watching Gloria Swanson, part of Roaring Twenties Week. Long before Hollywood made stars, there were stars who made Hollywood. Gloria Swanson was an early sex symbol whose defiance in having a child made her even more provocative and sensuous. At a time when Mary Pickford didn't dare change her little girl with the flowing curls look, Gloria Swanson never looked the same way twice, turning her face and her 4'11" frame into an ever-changing exercise in personal style.
That's the thing that defines beauty, the imperfections. I mean, if you see someone that is just absolutely perfect, they're not as interesting. And Gloria was definitely interesting.
The films she made in the late teens had titles like Every Woman's Husband or Don't Change Your Husband. The parallels and ironies with her real-life dramas were not lost on the public.
It seems to me as if all the titles of these amazing movies that you were making sort of had something to do with your private life at the time. I mean, they all sort of...
Well, I don't think Don't Change Your Husband had anything to do with my life.
But you've been changing your husband every 5 minutes.
I know, but it says don't change your husband, so it had
So you went against the grain?
No, of course.
Why
I'm a
change your
rebel.
wife?
Jazz Age America wanted to have it both ways. A spirit of anything goes competed with a growing perception that America was headed straight for Sodom and Gomorrah. Hollywood became an easy target, especially after the sensationalized murder trial of comedian Fatty Arbuckle. Although he was exonerated in the death of an actress, his career was ruined by those who made him a scapegoat for all of Hollywood's image problems.
You want entertainment, wholesome, interesting, and vital. This, the motion picture industry, is pledged to provide.
To head off government censorship, Hollywood hired its own morality czar, Will Hayes. One of his first orders of business was to limit all screen kisses to no more than 7 seconds. Among the first projects affected, Beyond the Rocks, with Gloria Swanson and the as yet unbilled Rudolph Valentino. Swanson wrote, "Poor Rudy could hardly get his nostrils flaring before the American version was over." Personally, Swanson played with fire. The year the Hayes office set up shop, the twice-married star took off for Paris with her lover, the married director, Mickey Nealon, where they carried on for 6 weeks at the Hotel Crillon. "In many ways, Paris seemed like home to me," she wrote. "The glamour of the Hollywood illusion dimmed to nothing beside the real glamour of Paris." Swanson came home and, under the vigilant eye of Will Hayes, cultivated a more respectable image. With family stability in mind, she bought a large Beverly Hills home and adopted a baby boy, naming him Joseph Patrick Swanson. His namesake, Gloria's father, died shortly thereafter of a heart attack at the age of 52. Swanson later wrote that her marriages and the adoption of her son were somehow connected to an incomplete relationship with her father.
Well, Mother was divorced twice by the time she was 22, and she had been raised as an only child, and she said she didn't want to raise another only child, so she adopted this baby. Growing up, I was very protective of him. He and I were very, very close.
1 month after adopting her baby, Gloria was sued for divorce by Herbert Somborn on the grounds of committing adultery with 14 men. To make sure that everyone paid attention, he listed such names as Paramount Chief Adolf Zucker, Cecil B. DeMille, and Jessie Lasky. The only bit of truth was the inclusion of her lover, Mickey Nealon.
He was after money, and he knew that Paramount would settle. He knew that with Will Hayes running the town that they would have to settle, and he'd get a big amount of money, which he did.
Not only did Swanson settle, she also signed a new contract with Paramount that included an out clause should she be charged again with adulterous conduct. Soured on Hollywood, Swanson moved to New York City, still working for Paramount, but doing so from the Astoria Studios in Queens. She turned out her most popular film, Manhandled, and displayed her knack for comedy, battling for space on the subway. In the fall of 1924, Gloria Swanson, with her children and a staff of 12 in tow, went to her beloved Paris to film the first joint production between two countries. Madame Sans-Gêne was the story of a simple washerwoman elevated to the nobility by Emperor Napoleon. Because of France's love for Gloria Swanson, the government allowed filming at Fontainebleau, Napoleon's country palace. By December, she had fallen in love with her translator, introduced to Gloria as Henri, the Marquis de la Falaise de la Coudray, a charming, handsome man whose title was bigger than his pocketbook. Gloria called him Henry.
He was our favorite. My brother and I, he never interfered with us. Others would interfere in that they would make suggestions or as to how we should be brought up or something, but he was a lovely person.
Soon after her divorce from Herbert Somborn became official, Gloria Swanson married the Marquis de la Falaise in Paris. The next day, without telling anyone, she underwent an abortion. By having Henry's child under the terms of my present contract, she wrote, I would forfeit the chance to become one of the highest paid performers in history, unquote. But complications from the abortion nearly cost Swanson her life. Her illness captivated the world for the next 6 weeks. Gloria recovered and returned triumphantly to the United States with the title of Marquise de la Falaise. On an unprecedented whistle-stop tour, America turned out to see Gloria Swanson, the star, and Gloria Swanson, the person they thought they knew.
She was the queen of Hollywood, the great star, and the whole world imitated her and loved her and watched every move she made.
2 years had passed since the Queen of Hollywood last set foot in California. In that time, her ex-husband, Herbert Somborn, had launched an enterprise called the Brown Derby Restaurant, soon to bring in the kind of money his ex-wife once thought he always had.
In 1926, my father was building it, and he would hold my hand and I'd walk up and around on the rim of the hat.
All of Hollywood turned out for the premiere of Madame Sans-Gêne. But on the greatest night of her career, Gloria Swanson was in a somber mood. She knew she paid for this moment by giving up a child. She had also developed an ability to block out unpleasant feelings and memories, and she moved on. In 1926, Swanson joined United Artists. It was a haven for independent producers and founded by Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, and D.W. Griffith. Swanson caused an uproar with only her second United Artists project, Sadie Thompson, a story about a sadistically puritanical minister who tries to reform a prostitute but falls prey to her charms and then kills himself. Swanson personally lobbied morality czar Will Hayes, convincing him that the author Somerset Maugham was a writer of classics. Jealous studio heads who had mutually agreed Sadie Thompson was off limits sent Swanson a telegram demanding she cease production. Swanson defied the boys' club and, by cleverly working around specific things forbidden by the Hayes office, made her film. She would go on to receive an Academy Award nomination for her performance as Sadie Thompson, but not before seeking some much-needed financial advice.
I was looking for somebody to help me with all of that, and I never found one.
Not ever?
Yes, once.
Who was that?
Joseph P. Kennedy, East Coast businessman, married to the daughter of Boston's ex-mayor, scion of an already substantial family, also made movies in Hollywood. Gloria Swanson set up a meeting.
She said, my figures aren't working out. I should be getting more money. And she said, you're a banker. Let's sit down and talk.
Working swiftly and anonymously, Joseph P. Kennedy formed Gloria Productions Incorporated. 8 weeks after their first meeting, Swanson had surrendered to Kennedy all control of her finances. Through his vast connections in the business, Kennedy arranged for a film distribution job for Swanson's husband.
Kennedy gave the Marquis a job in Paris. He didn't want him in the picture, and this was a great opportunity for the Marquis to return to Paris. And then Gloria was going to be going back and forth. But Kennedy moved in. He took over her life.
And remember, I mean, we've got Rose back in Boston having her 7th child. And the Marquis has been sent out for the day on a variety of errands. And Joe Kennedy opens her door and says, "I can't wait any longer," and throws himself at her. And according to her, 3 minutes later, it was over. So, but... You know, this was the man who was going to take care of everything else, and so it was a small price to pay.
Didn't you feel guilty, this married man?
Guilty? I went through absolute hell. Of course I was guilty.
Why then did you keep on?
Keep on? You didn't know the man.
Gloria Swanson, revered as an archetype of the modern woman, had once again surrendered her power to a man undeserving of her trust. Someone who would plunge her into near financial ruin. You're watching Gloria Swanson, part of Roaring 20. Shortly after taking over Swanson's business affairs, Joseph Kennedy began production on their first film, Queen Kelly, the epic story of an Irish Catholic convent girl who falls in love with a prince who is married to a jealous queen. Kennedy hired as his director the brilliant Erich von Stroheim. Initial footage looked promising, and for a brief time, Kennedy was on top of the world. He was making art, and he was having an affair with the Queen of Hollywood, whose husband he had whisked away to Europe. He invited Gloria and her children to visit his family, but she felt awkward and sent only young Gloria and Joseph.
And we visited them in New York in 1928. I know I just had my 8th birthday. Kathleen was my age, I think, and Eunice was my brother's age. It was fun going to that house because no matter what age you were, they had somebody to play with.
Although Swanson never visited the family, she did send Christmas gifts. In this letter, young Jack Kennedy asks after young Gloria and Joseph and thanks her for a horse racing game. It was his image as head of an all-American family that endeared Joe Kennedy to Hollywood's morality czar, Will Hayes.
Will Hayes put his publicity machine to work behind Joe Kennedy. And he was billed as exceedingly American. Finally, we have this fine family man who's in this business. Of course, Will's job was to make the industry look family-friendly, pushing the family values of the day. And Joe Kennedy was picture perfect for this role.
Initial optimism over Queen Kelly faded fast as director Erich von Stroheim lived up to the flip side of his genius, that of an undisciplined, temperamental egotist. Queen Kelly was $600,000 worth of unresolved, unreleasable footage. Footage that Kennedy had financed by selling Swanson's distribution rights to Sadie Thompson, which went on to make a fortune. Needing to rebound fast, Gloria herself arranged production on her first talking picture, The Trespasser. For its London premiere, Joe Kennedy convinced Gloria and a friend to join him and his wife on the transatlantic crossing. Swanson wrote of Rose Kennedy, "She treated us like a pair of debutantes it was her duty to chaperone. Was she a fool or a saint? Or just a better actress than I was?"
What was that like? The mistress, the husband, the wife,
and I had
the
a friend of mine with me. It was absolutely madness and crazy, and I said, this can't be, it shouldn't be. I'll come on another boat. Please, you can't do that, please.
Swanson wrote that 2 months after that cruise, one of Kennedy's men escorted her to a secret meeting at a New York hotel. A secret meeting with William Cardinal O'Connell of Boston, who ordered Swanson to stop her affair with Joseph Kennedy. She later speculated the meeting had been arranged by Rose. Joseph P. Kennedy presented Gloria Swanson in just one more film, the disastrous What a Widow. At the end of 1930, he dissolved all ties to Gloria Productions, all ties to Hollywood, and began devoting more time to politics.
The losses that she should have had for income tax, he took for himself. And then she ended up years later having to settle with the IRS for a tremendous amount of money. It was very unfair.
She found out that the fur coat that she thought he had just given her as a little love present had in fact been paid for by Gloria Productions, as had everything else she'd received during the last year of their affair, and everything else that he had received as well had all been paid for out of Gloria Production.
I met one time one of Joe Kennedy's lawyers, and she said, "Oh, you know Gloria Swanson?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Oh, may Joe Kennedy rot in hell for what he did to that poor woman."
Swanson's autobiographical candor raised the ire of the fiercely loyal Kennedy clan.
I received this letter from Eunice Kennedy Shriver enclosing a statement she sent to various newspapers. In the interest of fairness, I'll quote from part of it. I can tell you that my mother is totally honest in her conviction that her 45-year marriage to my father was the happiest part of her life. Between the age of 80 and 90, my mother also wrote her autobiography. It inspired people everywhere. Gloria Swanson's autobiography, written at 80, may make her a popular figure, but what lasting value has her life left us?
What good this, that, or the other, if you haven't got love?
Predictably, the Kennedy affair sped along the demise of Gloria's marriage to the Marquis. Her films continued to strike an autobiographical chord.
I really mean it this time, Jerry.
Mean what?
Oh, marriage and all that.
No, I'm afraid there'd be too little marriage and too much all that.
Still only 32 years old, and considering all she'd been through, Gloria Swanson had a remarkable ability to pick up the pieces, move on, and rarely look back.
Boys, I want you to meet Thompson. Sadie, meet the boys. Boys. And this is...
Swanson's life and career became an inspiration to a young actress named Joan Crawford, who starred in a talking remake of Gloria's Sadie Thompson, retitled Rain.
Crawford would call her over and over again through the years and made no bones about this. She was terribly proud to let Swanson know that she was her idol or her ideal or whatever. And Swanson, it just struck her as being, Gloria would say, it's just, I can't imagine that anybody could be interested in somebody else's life.
As poor as her judgment was about men, on matters of her own health and nutrition, Gloria exercised the discipline of a Jesuit. With a history of misdiagnosis behind her, she had little faith in organized medicine.
As a rule, the doctors aren't very well themselves. They're pretty sick. So I came to the conclusion after some years of living that I wouldn't take any money I wanted invested to a pauper to invest, so why should I go to a doctor who's sick himself?
Dr. Henry G. Beeler, who in the 1920s espoused a diet of fresh vegetables and mass quantities of water, was one great exception. On Gloria's first visit for stomach pain, Dr. Beeler simply asked what she had eaten the night before.
Roast beef with béarnaise sauce, and she went on, and then for dessert there was ice cream with hot fudge sauce on it. And he said to her, "Will you imagine putting all of that in a pail and swirling it around?" And he said, "There isn't an animal that would touch it, and yet you wonder why you don't feel well today." So from that time on, and I was 8 years old, it was 1928, she began to follow Dr. Beeler's advice of much simpler eating.
Swanson's personal dramas continued. At the London premiere of Indiscreet, her escort, arranged by Noel Coward, was Irish playboy Michael Farmer. During a one-month courtship, Gloria became pregnant. Farmer claimed undying love and proposed marriage once her divorce from the Marquis was final. With Farmer in tow, Swanson rushed back to Hollywood to shoot Tonight or Never. The film's costumer, the legendary Coco Chanel, designed a special girdle to hide Swanson's incipient motherhood.
Oh, I mean, this poor woman, she didn't even know Farmer, really. She'd met him through Eddie Goulding and Noel Coward, which was fun recommendations for a party playmate, but, you know, hardly the best resume for a husband. And yet Michael claimed, oh, no, this is fine. And, of course, Gloria was a huge star. And they laid low. They stayed in Europe. And she gave birth to Michelle in England and married, actually, Michael Farmer a couple of times just to make sure that when the columnists and Will Hayes caught up with her, she'd be able to have several certificates to show them.
Gloria's marriage to the volatile and jealous Farmer ended in 2 years. As a new generation of talking picture actresses came along, her career declined and she spent more time with her children more accustomed to boarding schools and mother's absence.
Michelle was much closer and grew up really much closer to Mother than I had ever been as a child.
I was a little afraid of her, but because she was very dominating and had a very strong personality, but I did respect her.
The stream of film offers may have stopped, but Swanson remained a much-watched fashion plate and role model.
Exhibiting an attire of springtime smartness, glamorous, glorious Gloria Swanson arrives for a professional engagement. Nice to see you, Gloria.
Swanson pursued an interest in science and technology, dabbling with inventions of her own. In 1938, she founded Multiprizes Incorporated, a patents and invention firm. She brought to America Jewish scientists fleeing fascist Europe, who then developed products useful during a wartime economy of limited resources. In 1945, Gloria married for the 5th time. Her union to the charming and alcoholic William Davey ended after 1 month. Scarcely long enough to order new towels and stationery, she wrote. 3 years later, she graced the cover of the first edition of TV Guide. For the Gloria Swanson Hour, a helpful hints interview show airing nationwide, the star filmed brief sessions with local station managers.
If he's married, he gets a red carnation.
Oh, that is very nice.
You see, if you're unmarried, if you're the bachelor type, then of course you get a white carnation. If you're a grandpapa, let's see, bend down. No, you're not yet, not quite yet.
Swanson didn't take to the hectic pace of live television and dropped the show after 6 months. Hours after tendering her resignation, she received a call from the casting director at her old studio, Paramount Pictures. Gloria Swanson was about to embark on perhaps the greatest comeback in motion picture history. You're watching. Wilder signed Gloria Swanson to play a forgotten silent screen goddess in his classic Sunset Boulevard. He heard a story that made him nervous.
I mean, they tell me that when she was the queen of Hollywood, once she was made up, once she was in costumes, she would step into a sedan and 2 guys would carry her onto the stage so that not one hair would get out of place. And I thought, oh, this is going to be terrible.
Norma Desmond is a 50-year-old actress whose career has been over for 2 decades.
So there is a misconception in the American mind of how old Norma Desmond is. It's about a career a comet, you know, starting. So it's like an athlete's life. It's over by the time they're 30. They're has-beens at 30, but they're only 30. They're not 60.
When she was playing Norma Desmond, she would come home at night. She'd asked her mother, my grandma, to come and stay with us. And Grandma would say, oh, here comes Norma, because she stayed in that personnage. I don't know how you say that in English. She stayed in that role even when she got home. She never left it for the whole time she was shooting.
In Sunset Boulevard, the line between fact and fiction was thin, as Wilder had Cecil B. DeMille, the man who made Swanson a star, play himself.
You didn't know Norma Desmond as a lovely little girl of 17, with more courage and wit and heart that never came together in one youngster.
Madame is the greatest star of them all.
Playing Norma's loyal butler, Max, was Swanson's Queen Kelly director, Erich von Stroheim. The silent film that Norma shows writer Joe Gillis was the public's first chance to see a clip from the von Stroheim Kennedy disaster. Swanson said her old director hadn't changed a bit.
Mr. von Stroheim often came with sheaves of ideas. Why couldn't he be polishing the slippers for Norma Desmond or washing out her bras or something? And he had many, many ideas. And Billy Wilder explained to him that this was not possible because you had to get on with the story.
What I'm trying to say is that I'm all wrong for you. You want a Valentino, somebody with polo ponies, a big shot.
What you're trying to say is you don't want me to love you. Say it. Say it.
She was absolute perfection. She did everything I wanted her. She was working after dinner, after hours. She studied it. She knew everybody else's lines too. She was absolute perfection.
She got along with everybody, and she wasn't an easy person to get along with, but she got along with everybody, and I think they got along with her, and the technicians were marvelous, and that, you know, that famous scene when she comes down the stairs, I was there that day, and I remember that the whole crew applauded her.
For her performance, Swanson received her 3rd Academy Award nomination. She and Bette Davis, who made her own comeback in All About Eve, lost to Judy Holliday. But Gloria Swanson would henceforth be identified and defined by a single portrayal in her 66th film.
As a matter of fact, on the opening of the musical Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, a lovely, lovely lady I was introduced to said, "Tell me, did your mother do that?" And I said, "Do what?" And she said, "Slash her wrists over a young man." And I said, "Oh, no, please, no, that's Norma Desmond. It has nothing to do with Mother."
Gloria turned down several film offers because she saw them as repeats of Norma Desmond. And unlike Norma, Swanson never looked back.
Oh, God, not the past. No, I only bring it up if I want to make a point. But no, today, now, this is all we have. This is eternity.
The dress is covered with 100,000 cultured pearls. It is worth $100,000 and weighs 30 pounds, as Miss Swanson can tell you.
Gloria modeled novelty wardrobe for charity. She designed and sold a line of more affordable dresses, $40 or less, under the banner Forever Young, aptly named for a woman pushing 60 who also had her own line of cosmetics. On matters of health, Swanson was ahead of her time.
People would recognize her and say, "Oh, Miss Swanson, you just look so wonderful. How do you do it?" And she would really pounce on them and say, "Well, if I put the poison in my mouth that you probably do in yours, it would be a different matter."
Nearly 40 years before Andrew Lloyd Webber's Sunset Boulevard, Gloria herself participated in a failed musical version. Still, this appearance on The Steve Allen Show became America's first glimpse at Norma Desmond, singer of the silent screen.
Those wonderful people out there in the dark.
Remarkably, after 5 marriages spanning 30 years, Swanson remained single for 30 years. Her most constant relationship was with her mother, Adelaide, who had been married 3 times herself.
She'd stay up all night and read and sleep till 10 or 11 or 12 in the morning. And I know she wandered around her apartment, and yet she would never say, "I was really lonely last night," or "Will you come visit me?" She just always carried on as if life was really okay. And I think really for the most part for her it was okay. I think she had a wonderful ability to shut out things that weren't comfortable for her.
That did not mean Gloria Swanson forgot anything. In 1959, she wrote a letter to Joe Kennedy telling him exactly how he had mishandled her business affairs. But she also sent him 2 telegrams of condolence after the assassination of his son and after he had a stroke. She signed both telegrams using the name of her character from their first film together, Kelly. You're watching Gloria Swanson, part of other aging Hollywood stars. Gloria Swanson never stopped loving the spotlight. In the 60s and 70s, she made television appearances on the Beverly Hillbillies, Dr. Kildare, and The Carol Burnett Show. She starred in the cult film classic Killer Bees and made her final screen appearance playing herself in Airport 75.
The hell with the jewelry. Let's put my book in here.
Gloria's opinion of the entertainment industry had reached a low point.
Bad taste in some of the plays and the pictures and the scripts that they send me. Oh, I feel so sorry for them because, you know, I really believe they're impotent. I think that even males and females must be impotent if they need all the stimuli that they're using to get themselves to feeling as if they wanted to have a romance.
Unlike many celebrities, when Swanson affiliated with a cause, she lent more than her name. The Food and Drug Administration honored her for speaking out against harmful preservatives. She testified before Congress protesting tax rates on single Americans. She chaired the New York chapter of Seniors for Ronald Reagan and became an accomplished sculptor and painter. In 1976, she married for the 6th time the reformed junk food junkie Bill Dufty. The world was beginning to catch up to a regime that she had been following for half a century.
This is kombu, which is dried seaweed, which we use in our beans, and it lasts forever. Our budget for food is less than the welfare budget for 2 people in New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. And we eat very luxuriously and high on the onion.
But I remember when I was about 8 or 9 and coming home, and she'd be at our house, and she'd be sitting on the floor on a straw mat eating buckwheat and seaweed. I mean, this was a little odd. But she was healthy.
In 1980, after years of saying she'd never do it, Gloria Swanson published her autobiography. The turnout at book signings was remarkable, and as always, she saved her best, most appreciative face for her fans. Critics praised the book as candid and unflinching, especially about her many failed relationships.
I remember her saying very, very well that if she ever came back to a second life, she would like to be a clinging vine and one of those women who would say, "Oh, darling, I don't know how to do anything. Would you mind doing that for me?" But she wasn't that way, you see. She was a very feminine woman with a masculine brain.
Well, that's obviously interfered with being feminine at that stage.
No, it never did.
Really?
My masculine mind did not run my body.
But it must have, because you were so bright and because you were...
No, I wasn't so bright. I was a very... I wouldn't have made so many mistakes had I been bright.
One day, Mother asked Michelle and me, "Now, what would you like when I'm gone? What would you like of the things here in the apartment and of my papers and those things?" And I said, "Mother, please, if you give me any papers, I'm afraid I'll put a match to them, so don't find some other better place. I don't need any of that."
In 1982, the University of Texas at Austin paid Swanson a 6-figure sum for her collection of more than 500,000 bits of personal history. As part of the deal, Raymond Daum, her hand-picked archivist, presided over the collection for 12 years before retiring. The few requests to study this vast and extraordinary archive usually have come from those doing research on Joseph P. Kennedy.
Oh, she said, I want to live to 90, and then it's time to go bye-bye. That's what she always said to me. She'd curl up on that couch, and she'd say, "Now, when I go out, they want a movie star. They want Gloria Swanson, and they're going to get a movie star."
Gloria Swanson, who remained in good health until the end, suffered a heart attack and died in her sleep on April 4th, 1983. She had just turned 84.
I was the last person to talk to her before she died, and I was so amazed at how absolutely gorgeous she was. To the last absolute hour, she was just exquisite. So she went out in my eyes as a movie star.
Few people who have made movies in Hollywood have had so many interests and pursuits beyond Hollywood. But history often is not fair. Gloria Swanson's many successes, as well as her personal failures, will forever be eclipsed by a single performance she gave 30 years after she was the greatest star of all.
You see, this is my life. It always will be. There's nothing else. Just us. And the cameras. And those wonderful people out there in the dark. All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
People have looked for parallels between Gloria Swanson and Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard. Both were aging stars, but that's where the similarity ends. Swanson spent her later years deeply immersed in her art and her autobiography. She never looked back. She said, "I'm not much for the past. I'm concerned about tomorrow." Perhaps the best description of Gloria Swanson comes from producer-director Cecil B. DeMille. He said, when you put them all together and add them up, Gloria Swanson was the movie star of all movie stars.